Good morning, children. Let us start with a new chapter today, that is soil erosion and conservation. Soil erosion. So, where are we constructing a house? It is on the land, isn't it? So, what does this land consist of? There will be mud particles, sand particles, gravels, isn't it? Stones, all these things will be there, So, this is about the soil. So, how is this soil formed? Let us see. Okay, further we'll be learning about it. So, soil erosion and conservation. Soil. What is soil then? The topmost layer of the earth's crust forms the soil. See, the earth's crust, we are on the earth, isn't it? This earth has got so many layers. If you just open, for construction of buildings and houses and all, you can see they put the foundation. When they put foundation, they will be digging the ground, right? When they dig the ground, you can see different layers of soil there, right? So, the uppermost one, the surface one, we call it as the topsoil. So, soil is what? The topmost layer of the earth's crust. So, the earth is having so many layers. The topmost is called as the soil. See, the topmost layer of the earth's crust forms the soil. Most animals and human beings depend on plants for their food, isn't it? Almost all living organisms are depending on plants, maybe directly or indirectly. But whatever it is, basically everyone, all the living organisms are depending on plants for their food. Soil holds all the plants, so we must protect the soil. So what is the work of this soil? Soil is going to hold the plant. How? Because these plants have got shoot and root system. Root means which grows under the ground, isn't it? It goes under the soil. So what happens when this root grows under the soil is going to hold the roots tightly, making the plant stand erect. It will make the plant stand erect. So the main function of this soil is to hold the plants so that it will stand there, and moreover what happens when the roots go through the soil, these roots will get enough amount of water, mineral salts, everything which is required for the growth of plants. Did you understand? So, soil holds all the plants. So, we must protect the soil. So, what happens? Without plants, we are not able to survive. Especially, we require food, oxygen, everything that we are getting from the plants. So, what happens? This soil, which is required for growth of plants, is required for everybody in one or the other way. So what we have to do? We have to protect the soil. We should not make it to get washed away, to get eroded. So we have to protect it. Soil is also used for making houses, pots, toys, etc. So for all purposes we use soil. Soil is used for making houses, isn't it? We construct houses with the help of soil. Then pots, we make pots, earthen pots, isn't it? Mandina madike. So for making pots, toys, to make play items, toys, etc. Minerals present in the soil give different colors to the soil. So what happens? There are minerals. When you just see the just a layer, when you are constructing a house, when you go for the foundation, you can see when it is dug, the ground is dug, you see different layers. And all the layers will not have the same color also. The colors also differ. Every layer's color also differs. So you can see here minerals present in the soil give different colors to the soil. So why the different colors? Sometimes it is red, sometimes it is black, sometimes yellow. All this will be there. What is the reason? It all depends upon the minerals deposited in that. Understood? So, the structure and texture of the soil depends on the constituent particles like sand, clay, gravel and organic matter present in it. So, the structure, when you look at the soil, you see the structure, how it is, now appearance. And texture means when you touch it and see, you feel the texture, how it is. Whether it is very soft, very fine particle, or it is a coarse particle, means rough particles, or it is big particle. All that when you touch, you see, that is called as this one, texture. And structure is when you look at it. The appearance is called as the structure. Texture is when you feel it. When you touch it and feel, that is called the texture. So the structure and texture of the soil depends on the constituent particles. So what all it consists of? What are this soil consisting of? That is called as constituents. So what does it consist of? It consists of sand. Sand is crystal form. You know, no? Crystal form, it is rough. Clay. Clay is soft and nice to touch. To be soft and smooth to touch. So clay. Gravel. Gravel is not neither very rough nor very smooth also. Okay, that is gravel, like stones, small stones you can take. And organic matter. And organic matter, what is this organic matter? Now children, any plant and animal products, whatever. See now animals, cow will be, for example, cow will be moving. What does it do? It passes its urine, it passes its dung, cow dung, isn't it? Where? On the soil itself. What is happening to the soil? So what is happening to that cow dung? It will enter into the soil. So what happens? The soil is getting the minerals which is coming out from the cow's body, right? So what happens? That becomes organic matter. Now you see on the roadside and all plants are growing. And you see the leaves will be shed down from the plants. What is happening to these leaves? They are also going into the soil only, no? So what happens then? Whatever the minerals are present in this animal and plant products, everything is going back to the soil. What is this? This will further convert into what? The organic matter. So the products which you get from plants and animal products, we call it as organic matter. Understood? So what happens? There is presence of organic matter also in the soil. Have you understood? Now let us go for how is soil formed. Soil is formed when rocks are broken down into smaller pieces. So this mud or soil, how is it formed? It is all coming from the big rocks which was there from millions of years, you know. From there what happens? It is breaking and finally what is happening? It is becoming into soil. So that is what is given here. Soil is formed when rocks, big stones are broken down into smaller pieces. This process is called weathering or weathering of rocks. The process of breaking the big rocks into small particles. Big rocks into small particles. That process is called weathering of rocks. Now, it is a natural and slow process. It is a natural process. You are not going and taking a hammer and hitting it. No, it is happening by itself. So, it is a natural process. It is happening naturally without your interference. Understood? So, that is called as a natural and slow process. All of a sudden, all the rocks will not break and the soil forms. No. It takes so many days to break the rock and to form the soil. So it is called as, it is a very slow process. The weathering of rocks is not a fast one. It is a slow process, a gradual process and a natural process. It is happening by itself. You are not getting interfered. You are not going to interfere in this. Understood? Now, at night, okay, so here, in this process, the sun heats the rocks during the day. What is happening now? Every day, the sun's heat and light is falling on the rocks. Every day. Whenever the sun rises, what happens? The heat and light of the sun is falling on these rocks. So, in this process, the sun heats the rocks during the day. At night, the rocks cool down. So, during day, it is getting the light and heat from the sun. What happens during the night? During the night, what happens? It starts cooling down. It starts cooling down. When the sun sets, what happens? It starts cooling down. Now, this alternate heating and cooling of rocks along with the action of strong winds and running water results in cracks in the rocks. So what happens? Every day these rocks are getting exposed to what? To the sun's heat and light every day. And during evening, night, what is happening? The sun's light will not be there. So it will be. So what happens after the sun sets? The weather becomes cool. So because every day it is getting the heat, light and coolness, what is happening? There will be small cracks in the rocks due to the heat and cooling climatic condition. What happens? Continuously. there will be cracks in the rocks. So this alternate heating and cooling of rocks along with the action of strong winds. So what is happening? Winds will be blowing, strong winds will be there, and running water whenever there is rainfall, heavy rainfall, what happens? The running water also, water will start flowing. So it is called running water. Results in the cracks in the rocks. So heat, light, and then cooling temperature plus the strong winds and the running water. All these will make cracks in the rocks, means small you can say breakages in the rocks. Thus big rocks are broken down into smaller pieces. So when there is crack, again and again water flows and then wind blows and all that, what happens? Slowly it will start breaking into smaller pieces. So big rocks will start breaking into smaller pieces. These pieces are pushed against one another by strong winds or by running water. So what happens? When the strong wind blows, what happens? One stone will go and hit the other stone. And when water flows also, what is happening? The stones will be carried. No? So one to the other, it will be dashing like that. It will be moving. Right? What will happen? When it goes and hits each other, what will happen? Again, it will further break into smaller pieces. Have you understood? Because of the action of wind, water, everything. So they will be hitting each other and they will be breaking. So big rocks will break into smaller pieces. So this further breaks the smaller pieces into even smaller particles known as pebbles. So now it starts becoming into pebbles, means small stones. From big rocks, now it started becoming into small stones. That is called pebbles. The pebbles are finally broken down into tiny grains of soil. Again what happens? Wind is not going to stop. Flow of water is not going to stop. And every time it is going on hitting. What happens? It goes on breaking. Finally what happens? It becomes into small particles, soil particles. The tiny grains of soil are carried by wind and water to different places and they get deposited on the upper surface of the earth as soil. So what happens? This will be carried on as the wind blows, as the rain water flows. What happens? It will be carried. These soil particles will be carried. And where does it go and deposit? It deposits on the upper surface of the earth. On the topmost surface of the earth, it goes and settles. And that is called as soil. Understood? From where you are getting that soil? It is due to weathering of rocks. What is weathering of rocks? It is a process of breaking of big rocks into smaller particles with the help of what? The sun's light and heat. Then water, strong winds, all these things, what will happen? It will break into smaller pieces and finally it becomes into particles which settles on the top of the earth's layer. Understood? That is called as topmost soil. Now, the dead animals and plants decay to form organic matter called humus. Already I have explained to you what is happening. The particles which is coming from plants and animals, it can be either living particles or the dead particles. Okay. So what happens? There it goes and settles in the soil as organic matter. And that is called as humus. Manure, humus. Understood? So this humus gets mixed with the soil and makes it good for the growth of plants. So what happens once that humus, the manure is formed, organic manure is formed, what happens? It will start enriching the soil. It will start enriching the soil with nutrients. So these nutrients are very good for the growth of plants. So that time that soil is called as a fertile soil, which has all the minerals, nutrients, everything which is helping for the growth of plants. So that is what we call it as organic manure. Organic manure which increases the fertility of the soil. So once the fertility of the soil increases, what happens? The plants also can grow very well and it can give very good yield. Understood? Now let us go for the layers of soil. Soil has three main layers. So there are three main layers: topsoil, subsoil and bedrock. So these are the three layers of the soil: topsoil, subsoil and bedrock. Topsoil is the topmost layer of the soil. Topmost layer is called as the topsoil. It is rich in organic matter called humus. So plant and animal products, first where does it reach? It reaches the topsoil. So it is rich with humus or organic manure. It is soft and dark. When you touch it, it is soft. The topsoil, if you touch the mud, how it is? It is soft and it is dark in color. Soil that contains humus is called loam. So if the soil is consisting of humus, humus is what? Organic manure, matter, okay, got from plants and animals. So if the soil is consisting of humus, then we call that soil as loam. Loamy soil, loam. It provides nutrients and air to plants. So what happens? Because it is loosely packed, even air can pass through that. So what is it doing? It's going to provide nutrients because there are already presence of minerals in that. Because they are got from plants and animal products. Understood? So they have got the nutrients as well as it is going to provide, because it is topsoil, loose soil. So it will provide air also for the plants. Hence, it is the best for plant growth. So topsoil is the best soil for growth of plants. Many living organisms are found in this layer. So in this topmost layer or top layer, what is there? There are so many living organisms. So you would have heard of earthworm, isn't it? It's a farmer's friend, we say. Why? Because it will help in the increasing the fertility of the soil. See, many living organisms are found in this layer. So that is about the topsoil. Now let us go for subsoil. The middle layer of the soil is called subsoil. So first is topsoil. The next layer is called as the subsoil. It has less organic matter and is orange or red in color. So what happens? When compared to topsoil, the subsoil has got, comparatively it has got less organic matter. Nutrients is less, not like topsoil. Okay, and what about the color? It will be either orange or red in color. Subsoil is orange or red in color. Topsoil is dark in color. It consists of broken pieces of rocks. So, what happens here? It is consisting of the broken pieces of rocks. Means little hard surface it is. Topsoil is loose, but this is little harder because it consists of broken pieces of rocks. It has less air and so it does not support the growth of plants. So air also will be less because it is going down, isn't it? Under the topsoil you see the subsoil. So what is happening? It will not have more amount of air also. So air is also required for the growth of plants. So that much air is not present in the subsoil. So it does not support the growth of plants. Have you understood? So topsoil over, subsoil over. For today I will stop it here, children. We will continue in the next class. Thank you.